Imagine waking up one morning. Everything seems fine. Your job, your savings, your future. But before the day ends, everything you believed in will fall apart. That's exactly what happened on October 29th, 1929. A day that changed the course of history, a day that became known as Black Tuesday. The day the market died. To understand how it all began, we need to step back in time, to the roaring heart of the 1920s. The war was over and people wanted to live again. Cities were alive with jazz. Women were cutting their hair short, driving cars, voting, dancing. It was a decade of confidence, of invention, of anything is possible. Factories were booming. Workers had steady paychecks, and consumer goods, radios, refrigerators, automobiles, were no longer luxuries. They were symbols of the new age. People began to believe that progress was unstoppable. For the first time in history, ordinary people could invest in the stock market. Wall Street wasn't just a financial district anymore. It was a dream factory. Everyone wanted a piece of that dream. The newspapers said it clearly. The future belongs to those who invest. And people listened. They borrowed money to buy stocks, confident they would get rich. The market seemed to rise every day. In those years, hope was the national currency. But beneath that golden glow, something darker was forming. Banks were lending recklessly. Credit was easy, and the word debt barely scared anyone. It was the age of buy now, pay later. Not just for stock, nor for homes, cars, even clothes. Wall Street encouraged it. Why wait, when you could have everything today? By 1928, the stock market wasn't a reflection of reality anymore. It was a mirror of human emotion. Greed and excitement replaced caution and reason. Speculation became a way of life. You could walk into a brokerage office with $1,000 and buy $10,000 worth of stock. That was called buying on margin. As long as prices kept rising, everyone looked like a genius. The shoeshine boy gave stock tips, taxi drivers talked about investments, and dinner conversations turned into profit reports. People didn't just believe in the market, they worshipped it. But no empire built on borrowed confidence can last forever, and the illusion was about to shatter. The morning of October 29th, 1929 began like any other. The streets of New York were full of noise. The hum of cars, the clatter of typewriters, the heartbeat of the modern age. Inside the New York Stock Exchange, the usual buzz of trading filled the air. Then, something shifted. At first it was just a small dip in prices. Then suddenly everything fell at once. The ticker tape couldn't keep up. Numbers raced faster than the machines could print. Within minutes, panic erupted. People shouted orders, phones rang nonstop, and the air grew thick with confusion. Investors tried to sell, but there were no buyers left. Fortunes disappeared in seconds. Outside crowds gathered around the stock exchange. Some watched silently, others cried openly. Reporters described the scene as a wave of human despair. By the end of that day, 16 million shares had been traded, a record never seen before. Billions of dollars in paper wealth vanished, and with them the illusion of endless prosperity. But the true collapse didn't happen on Wall Street, it happened everywhere else. When the banks that had fueled the boom began to fall, the panic spread like wildfire. People rushed to withdraw their savings, only to discover their money was gone. By 1933, over 9,000 banks had failed. Millions of Americans lost everything. Entire towns went dark. Factories closed. Shops boarded up their windows. Children lined up at soup kitchens beside their parents. And on the sidewalks of cities, men sold apples for 5 cents each, once proud workers, now broken by the times. Unemployment reached 25%. That means 1 in every 4 Americans had no job, no income, no future. Families lost homes they had spent years building. Hope was replaced by silence. People burned their furniture for warmth. Mothers went hungry so their children could eat. And the phrase "the American dream" began to sound like a cruel joke. Still, even in the darkest nights, small lights remained. Neighbors shared food. Churches opened their doors. Communities tried to help each other survive, not out of wealth, but out of kindness. Because when everything else was gone, all they had left was each other. Sometimes in the middle of winter, a knock on the door meant a loaf of bread or a bit of coal. People didn't talk much about hope. They simply practiced it. Yet the Great Depression didn't stop at America's borders. The world was connected through trade, through debt, through hope. When the U.S. economy fell, the chain reaction reached every shore. Factories in Europe lost their markets. International loans collapsed. The global economy froze. In Germany, hardship and desperation created the perfect breeding ground for extremism, for voices that promise strength, order, and revenge. In Britain, unemployment soared, and the idea of empire began to crumble. Across Asia and Latin America, entire nations faced collapse. A single market crash in New York had shaken the world order. So what caused it all? The answer wasn't a single event. It was human nature. Reckless optimism, easy credit, and the belief that this time is different. The Great Depression wasn't just an economic collapse. It was a collapse of trust. People stopped believing in banks. They stopped believing in the government. They stopped believing in each other. When trust dies, society starts to break apart. But from that darkness came something new: reform. The idea that markets need rules, not just dreams. The U.S. introduced deposit insurance so that no one would lose their savings again. The government began monitoring banks. And slowly, painfully, confidence returned. It didn't happen overnight. It took years and courage to rebuild what had been lost. When we look back at 1929, we don't just see charts and numbers. We see people, families, workers, dreamers, who lived through the collapse of a world they thought could never fall. And we see the same patterns repeating again and again. Greed, fear, the promise of quick wealth, they never disappear. They just wear new names. History doesn't repeat itself, but it whispers. And if we don't listen, it comes back louder each time. My name is The Financial Story. If you learned something from this tale, subscribe and join me as we uncover more stories written in money. Because every coin, every crisis, every empire tells a story. And we're here to listen.